Now, pressure is mounting on the Ghana Armed Forces to court-martial and dismiss officers found to have brutalized residents of Ashaiman. It comes after Joy News secured an exclusive copy of a Defense and Interior Committee report in which both the Defense Minister and Chief of Defense Staff admitted to excesses by the military. We have more for you from that report shortly, but first listen to the MP for Ashaiman. He demanded that the military officers involved should be identified and punished according to the law.
The leadership, they said and they claimed there were excesses.
Let's get some legal perspectives on this matter. We're joined by via Zoom by lawyer Samson Lardy Anyenini, who argues that it has taken too long for such a major urgent matter to be addressed. He joins us via Zoom now. Lawyer, I'm grateful for joining us. This issue demanded that the committee takes a time to do a good job, no?
Look, in the democracy I expect to live in, where the Constitution is upheld, and our Constitution in Article 15 says that, and once again I repeat, that the things we say put in the Constitution, the supreme law of the land, particularly in Chapter 5, that is the Bill of Rights, are not for decorative purposes. The Constitution instructs that, first, we are supposed to be equal because of the fact that we are human. And then it says also that the dignity of all persons shall be inviolable. You don't violate the dignity of a human being. And then, when professional organizations of the state, like the security, when you have been arrested, when you have been detained or you have been restricted, the Constitution says you should not be subjected to torture, cruel or other degrading, inhuman treatment or punishment or any such that is likely to detract from your value and worth as a human being. The army is supposed to be a professional body, professional security organization. In the report, they tell us that they moved into Ashaiman in the area they went to after, these are the words, after all intelligence had been gathered.
Yeah.
After all intelligence has been gathered, and yet, read the report again, that the officers were scaling over walls, entering into people's homes, breaking doors, property, and pulling people out, people who were asleep, and beating them. That is no intelligence. And that kind of criminal conduct, okay, it's not just wrongdoing, it's criminal wrong. It's egregious unconstitutional harm that was visited on innocent people. As many as we understood at the time, as many as 184 were abducted. I don't want to say were detained anymore. Were abducted and then released to go without any consequence. Now we know that the number was about 242 or so. This must not go unpunished.
Lawyer, but the committee recommends that all of these people must be compensated. Do these recommendations satisfy the call for justice for these victims?
The call for justice must be three-pronged, and leaving one out does not satisfy what must be done. Number one, there must be compensation, of course, as recommended, and the compensation must be adequate. It must be swift. It must be immediate. There must be sanctioning of the people who were involved. They have to be identified and sanctioned. But I do not think that it ought to be treated as though there were individuals who went on a frolic of their own and committed private offenses for which they must be punished as individuals.
Okay.
The supervisors of the action from the very top must also answer. And that is where I say that the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, the president of the Republic, has a duty, he has an obligation. He swore on an oath to uphold the Constitution and defend the rights of the citizens. He has an obligation to take an action, not only in mere words, take an action that makes a statement, a very bold statement, that this will not be repeated. And that action must accord to his oath that he swore.
Okay. Now, I mean, there are compensations involved. How do these victims get access to these compensations, and what kind of form should this take?
So I hope and pray that they have actually accounted for all the victims involved, because I know that those who were documenting the situation of the victims, particularly the Oliver Bakavomawa group, who mobilized a group of lawyers to go there and try to document the circumstances of the individuals, they are supposed to run in excess of 200. So it's not 242 from what we understood. So they must be properly documented adequately, and the compensation ought not be a difficult thing because they have been identified. Once they have been identified, including those led by lawyer Kumode, or the name again is there in the report, it shouldn't be a difficult thing. But if the state accepts and goes on to go about this, compensation in an adequate fashion, then I think there will be some level of satisfaction. But if the state does not, they have a course of action against the state, not to go look for individual military officers who, quote unquote, misconducted themselves, because we don't even know the instructions they went to the place with. This was officially endorsed. They went there with a chopper. Okay, you don't go with a helicopter when you don't have official
clearance,
instructions and permission to do so. And when you are going to look for the individuals alone to punish, you may not even find them.
Okay.
And you began by saying there should be a court-martial. Court-martial is pursuant to the Armed Forces Act. That is their internal process.
Okay.
You cannot ask that the accused should become a judge in their own cause. That is wrong. It should not happen.
Okay.
That must be done by another institution.
Not by themselves. But again, finally, just before we wrap up, the report is also saying that 6 people who were arrested, I mean, the police were telling the committee, were on remand. As to where they are now, we don't know. Is it not important for us to know where these 6 people are by now?
So the report is speaking about the time when the police appeared before the committee.
Exactly.
And that was soon after the development. But we know that the 6 people were put before court. We are told 2 of them confessed to the killing. So it does appear obviously that the police are the ones who had the real intelligence. The 6 people apparently were not taken from the 242 or so that were abducted by the army. That's how strange it is.
Okay.
Now, this 6, as we understand, about, is it 1 or 2 of them, in the course of the trial, had to be removed because it appeared that they were wrongly picked. So those who are left, as we understand, are standing trial. And that is due process. That is what must happen in a democracy of the rule of law. And not the criminal conduct, the unconstitutional harm and breaches that were committed by the military with official sanction. That must be punished.
All right. Lawyer, I'm grateful to you for joining us. Lawyer Samson Lardy Anyenini there.